Okay, we're about to dive into a story that is just intense. It's about a cave dive that went horribly, horribly wrong. It's a story about two friends, a sudden collapse, and an impossible choice made in total darkness, hundreds of feet beneath the earth. So just try to imagine this for a second. You are deep underground, floating in pitch black water, and the only way out, that tiny tunnel you squeezed through, is just gone. It's collapsed. You literally can't see your hand in front of your face. That was the nightmare two divers found themselves in, completely sealed off from the rest of the world. And in that moment of pure terror, as they're facing this wall of rock that has just entombed them, they do the one thing they can. They check their air gauges. And what do they see? They have 5 minutes of air left. 5. So, how on earth did they get into a situation like this? Well, to really get it, you have to understand the sport they were doing. It's called cave diving, and it is uniquely dangerous. See, this isn't your average scuba diving trip in the ocean. Not even close. When you're scuba diving, if something goes wrong, what do? You go up. The surface is right there. It's your escape route. But in a cave, you have a solid rock ceiling over your head. There is no up. The only way out is the exact same, often tiny, path you took to get in. And this, right here, shows you just how high the stakes are. I mean, look at this. The risk of death for swimming is less than 2 people per 100,000. For base jumping, a sport we all think of as crazy dangerous, it's 43. And then there's cave diving with a mind-blowing 138. The danger is off the charts. All right, let's meet the two men at the center of our story, Bill and Parker, as they head out on what would become their final mission together. The date is November 17th, 1991. The team is the Woodville Karst Plane Project, the WKPP for short. These are pros, some of the best in the world. Their goal for the day? To explore and map some brand new underwater passages in Florida. And leading the expedition were two close friends, Bill and Parker. And I really want you to understand, this was not some reckless joyride. This was a professional, highly coordinated mission. You've got a team on the surface monitoring everything. You've got a team whose only job is to place extra air tanks for the return trip. Another team makes sure the guideline, their lifeline in the dark, is secure. And then, at the very tip of the spear, you have the exploration team, Bill and Parker. So they begin their descent, and everything goes like clockwork. They squeeze through these tight spots they call restrictions, and then pop out into these enormous, silent rooms underwater. It was absolutely flawless. After about 25 minutes, they reach their goal, a chamber called the Lower Wakala Room. Perfect. They finish their work, check their air, and start heading back. They're feeling good. The mission was a success. But the cave they were swimming back through, well, it wasn't the same one they'd left. As they're making their way back, the water, which had been crystal clear, suddenly turns into this thick, soupy mud. Visibility goes to 0. They're holding onto their guideline, feeling their way forward, when their hands just hit a wall. A huge pile of rock and sand is blocking the tunnel completely, and their lifeline, the guideline, just disappears right into the rubble. With panic starting to creep in and their air supply screaming towards empty, a decision had to be made. And this is where the story just takes a devastating turn. Bill, trying to stay calm, pulls out his dive slate. It's like a little underwater notepad and scribbles a message to Parker. Stay here, I'm checking the line. He just had to be sure, 100% sure, that they hadn't made a wrong turn somewhere. So Bill follows the line back a bit, confirms their location, and a wave of dread washes over him. This is their only way out. He spins around to race back to Parker, gets to the spot where he left him maybe 5 minutes earlier, and Parker's gone. He has vanished into the black, silty water. Now Bill is all alone, he's terrified, and his low air alarm is blaring in his ear. But then he feels it, a tiny, faint current of water coming through the debris pile. Hope. He just starts digging like a maniac with his bare hands, tearing through what felt like miles, but was actually 2 meters, of heavy rock and silt. He scrapes out a hole just big enough, shoves himself through, and on the very last of his air, he makes it to that backup oxygen tank. Bill gets to the safety station and takes that first desperate gasp of fresh air. He's expecting relief, right? But then, this absolutely chilling realization hits him. Parker's backup air tank is hanging right there, full, completely untouched. His friend never made it out of the collapse. Parker's body was eventually recovered, but the real story, What truly happened in those final moments wouldn't be pieced together for years. And what they found wasn't a story of panic, but one of unbelievable sacrifice. An investigation later figured out the freakishly bizarre reason for the collapse. It turns out all the air bubbles the divers exhaled had been collecting in little pockets on the cave ceiling. Over time, all that trapped air actually made the limestone rock weaker. And when another diver from their team exited the cave earlier, that tiny shift in pressure was just enough to make the weakened ceiling give way, causing the landslide. And here is what they believe happened. When Bill swam off to double-check the line, Parker didn't get lost. He didn't panic and swim away. He knew instantly that this was their only shot. And without wasting a single precious second of his own air, he started digging with his bare hands. Not for himself. He was clearing a path for Bill. Parker used his last few minutes of life, his last breaths of air, digging the very hole that Bill would eventually use to escape. He didn't just die trapped in a cave. He made a choice. He sacrificed his own life to dig a path so his friend could live.